Welcome to the Tourism Hub podcast, a podcast devoted to you and your excellence, providing inspiration and education for the entrepreneurs, experience makers, and excellence seekers of our industry to take your tourism business and career to a whole new level. And I am your host, Despina Karatzias.
Relax.
Hello and welcome everybody to a brand new Tourism Hub podcast episode. A very special one for me. Today we are not necessarily going to have a tourism related special guest, but a very poignant and relevant tourism related and very special theme that is happening within our industry. It's a personal one, and it is certainly something that is reflected in many small businesses around the country at the moment that is related to our mental health and our well-being. Without further ado, today's guest that I want to introduce you to, her name is Dr Nas Parsian. She's a mental emotional health consultant. She's a holistic nurse educator and trained hypnotherapist. Now, let me tell you a little bit more because this is an impressive bio. Let me tell you about Dr. Nasrin. Nas for short, like I'm Despina, Desi, Despi for short. So Dr. Nas Parsian, she's a holistic health professional, academic nurse and emotional health consultant. She has 25 years experience in a wide range of health and wellness paradigms. Evidence-based practice in healthcare, children and youth well-being, chronic illness management, and her highest passion is on spirituality and health. She holds a PhD from Deakin University in Melbourne on spirituality and self-transformation. A PhD, I need to repeat that. She has a PhD on spirituality and self-transformation. I love her. In people with chronic health condition, focusing specifically on diabetes type 1 management. At the time of this recording, and for those of you that are joining us live, it is the week that we are bringing mental health to the attention that it needs to have. It needs to kind of be at the forefront for every week. But with Are You OK and Suicide Prevention Day, without further ado, welcome Dr. Nasrin Parsian. Welcome to the Tourism Hub Show.
Thank you so much, Despina. Thank you for having me.
It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you for agreeing to come on board. Now, I've briefed you. Our audience is largely, and what this podcast is for a tourism audience in light of the pandemic and COVID, and for the small tourism business entrepreneur and the wonderful experience makers of our industry who have been really crippled. It's been devastating for such a human connection industry. It is something that I would love to talk to you about, because mental health in business particularly, and people that are suffering from depression at the moment, overwhelm, uncertainty, I welcome you to really share with us your insights, how you got into this space of your interest from nursing through to really specializing in mental and emotional well-being.
Thank you, Despina. That's a great question. And to be honest, it's been a journey. It's been a long journey. I think, the journey started since I was a child, perhaps, because from memory, I was always interested to just, create something in the world, or possibly just connect to something in the world which is different, which is more about connecting to people, just deep connection to the world. So that's perhaps one reason that I eventually, end up after my graduation in university to be a nurse, because it was kind of rewarding for me. Okay, so that's the time and that's the way that I can connect to people, in the deeper layers. So that was perhaps my very first step to start this journey more professionally and more, more holistically. So I have so many stories, to be honest, within the period of my clinical nursing and also nurse educator for so many years. And some of those stories are basically really shakening in terms of both, being a miracle, and unfortunately, some of them just negative effects of whatever, happened on patients' health and well-being. So those two sides basically were my strongest motivators to go further and further and find more about health and well-being. And I just realized, okay, so health, definitely it's not limited to the biological health. While I have really, possibly scientific background, I started with science, and I still, appreciate science very much. But I strongly believe that our health and well-being is more beyond than these, biological aspects. And based on evidence-based practice, we define evidence as something which is connected with three different, dimensions. One is what we get from literature and evidence and research. Another one is based on our experience, the actual human lived experience. And the third one is about individual and unique perspective people have. So combining all of these things, three things, based on my teaching and, clinical experience, I ended up to have my project on spirituality and self-transformation in people with diabetes type 1. That is considered something which is not curable. And very interestingly, I came with the result that people who found meaning in the situation and people who had stronger connection with their inner self and with the world, they were able to manage their diabetes. Isn't it amazing result? And yes, so HbA1c, hemoglobin A1c, blood glucose level, everything were managed better. Statistically, it showed actually, from the results, everything were managed better and in a higher quality, higher level when people had stronger connection with themselves, connection with the universe, and they were able to redefine their lives and redefine their health to something new. So that's why I started I continued actually my education. So in the last 10 years, 6-7 years, basically, I did more certificates. I did NLPs, I did, hypnotherapy courses, because I was just looking for some more tools just to be able to help people. And in 2016, I started just to do something more just as my private practice. So I started with the name Art for Inner Growth. Then last year, I just, relaunched my business with a new name because I love the name Wellness. Because I think this name is more considering the whole person. I don't want to just divide person to the different dimensions, just say physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual, because I think as soon as we start to talk about these dimensions separately, we start to separate a whole person. So a whole person is a whole person. So it's a very tricky part, because sometimes, unfortunately, we fail when we just psychologically address, people's mental health. We're going to see the GP or a specialist to address physical health, and we fail because they are not, interconnected to each other in our management approach. The whole is just like that. So the other thing that I was going actually to add here, Despina, is about the name of my I introduced myself as more emotional health consultant. And yeah, sometimes I add mental as well, because it's basically something that it's noun. But to be honest, I believe personally mental health has a bit of stigma in this term. So that's why I do prefer to use emotional, because I believe heart intelligence is very powerful, and a lot of problems, they are actually kind of originated, or, a lot of solutions can be originated in our emotions. So, so that's why I called inner wellness. It's actually based in your inner intelligence with the heart center.
Oh, so much to love about that. Going back to your self-transformation with your study and your PhD, that's incredible. That's an incredible finding, that through self-transformation and those 3 pillars, I guess, of reconnecting or strong connection to self, universe, and redefining lives. Can you talk, how did you approach that by assessing someone's journey pre and then aligning them with help through? And I love that that is a key distinction, and I love how you've reframed that from mental health to emotional health and well-being and wellness. So how did you approach that and see that transformation happen? Or what are some activities that you did to see that and prove that happened? Was it less medication? Was it that it is diagnosable? What were some of the things that you helped the participants in your search to find that study?
Yep, thank you so much. Yep, I think I just need to very briefly reference to the research methodology here, because this is exactly what I did. So I use, people who are familiar with the research and research methodologies, they definitely know that we have different methodologies. I use mixed methodology. So the mixed methodology is when you use both quantitative and qualitative data. Quantitative is basically dealing with numbers and stats, and qualitative is more about, talking and, like we do, what we do. And I use both. So that means I actually validated 2 questionnaires for people with diabetes type 1 first. I designed a spirituality questionnaire, and the spirituality that I designed basically came from, the massive literature review I did. And I didn't want to focus only on religion, because, it's 100% proved in the literature and experience that religion is only one tool of a spirituality. It's not, they are not interchangeable. So the spirituality was defined basically as a broader, perspective of those, connectedness, of spiritual practice, whatever it is. So I had some items, and I gave the questionnaire to 150 young adults with diabetes. And at the same time, I did the survey with health professionals as well. So the results actually came up with some, numbers, scales. And also I created a coping questionnaire. So the coping questionnaire. So when statistically we compare coping results with, the number of spirituality results, so they were statistically significant. People who had higher scores on a spirituality questionnaire, they actually were able to cope with the disease better. And also I found an association between the higher score between the spirituality questionnaire and the level of blood glucose level and the level of HbA1c, hemoglobin A1c, which is the main criterion for diabetes management. And people who had higher, spirituality score, they had lower blood glucose level and HbA1c. So these basically were the very, very brief, they were absolutely a lot of more data behind that, but very, in a nutshell, very brief results I got from quantitative phase. In qualitative phase, I sat down and I talked to people for nearly an hour. And so I talked to 30 people, with type 1 diabetes. And I also had focus group discussions. So basically one-on-one and also group discussion. And in this phase, actually, I came up with amazing themes from spirituality. And the ones I mentioned at the start, finding meaning in life, self-transformation, and redefining life and, situation, and connectedness, they were actually, the themes just emerged from their data, from what they told me.
Wow.
So they were just the results of, when qualitatively I analyzed all the information, these themes just came up, just emerged. And actually, sometimes, to be honest, Despina, I just got goosebumps when I was listening to those people. Some amazing, an amazing girl, 20-year-old girl, who she had diabetes type 1, I think from age 2, 3, something like that. She just said, she actually brought my eyes to tears, because she said, diabetes is a blessing. It's a blessing for me, because if I didn't have that, I didn't have a lot of other things that I have in my life, and I appreciate them. So, so amazing thing. And I just said, how come such incurable disease can be a blessing for you? And so there's a lot of, quite a few young people with diabetes type 1. They actually talked about the connections they have with nature and how these connections can help them to manage their diabetes. And they actually came up with some stories about, how they can shift the whole situation of their body to the more manageable situation by practicing this stuff. And it was so amazing. And that's why actually, since then, I finished my PhD 11 years ago. Since then, actually, it was one of my aha moments, because since then I actually was more, I felt, yes, I have to do something about that. And I actually started to even create a guideline for our healthcare system. But unfortunately, that needed some further evidence and research, and I needed some support from, I don't know, just and money, and I couldn't continue. But that is still my mission, and I really want to have this particular important aspect to be included in our healthcare.
Incredible work, and I'm sure for all of these participants, and it's a great lead-in to what we are experiencing, and we're seeing a lot in the media as well. When you say you're working with young people, I think for these participants, and it's amazing. I think with any medium or professional service, as a professional service provider, I can see, while you're helping others with their self-transformation, to see that that's also helped you with your journey and your transformation to doing what you are currently doing. And speaking to that, and staying connected and keeping our emotional well-being and our emotional health. I think I'm going to train myself to use that term too from this point forward, that it's our emotional health and well-being on the back of our You OK Day and suicide prevention through this pandemic. And research will show us whether there has been a spike through what is recently happening. I can't talk to that. Through your professional experience and what we're seeing with young people and preventing suicide, how are you helping people most right now through your own inner wellness practice?
It's very sad that, I think I told you before that I personally experienced, I know 4 people, I know them closely, 4 people who took their lives within this, 6 months. That is absolutely sad. So let's just start with the key point that I want to share with you. So you asked me first, how can I help? my help is just helping people to become empowered, to be in charge of their own lives. That's all about, the key, because as soon as we begin to give away our power to the outer world, to outside, we actually disempower ourselves. And then we lose the track, And that is unfortunately a problem. And yes, the solution is, I, to be honest, believe that, Despina, that we are the most powerful healer. We are our own healers. And this empowerment is involved with a lot of other things, certainly. So depression is, I don't know, we have different definitions. So based on the DSM-5, which is basically the main criteria for psychiatrists. I'm not a psychiatrist, but, I'm aware about that, and I respect and I appreciate all those criteria. But from my own experience, I personally believe that depression or, sadly, committing suicide happens when we do not see the possibilities. So it's not about sadness. It's because sadness is something natural, and this pandemic was definitely something very different, and it wasn't all about the virus. So virus was one part, but a lot of other things were the consequences of that pandemic. And possibly those consequences were more annoying for people to see their possibilities are blocked. And that is the worst situation. So when you don't see the possibilities, you end up with the situation, okay, so what I'm living for? Why should I live for? I don't have any possibilities. And this is actually the key point, that at the same time that we may struggle with a lot of things that are not in our control. Okay, so I'm not managing the country, I'm not managing the world, I'm not managing, I'm just a human living in this side of the world. Okay, instead of just, relying on things being controlled and managed from outside, we need to focus on what we can control from inside. And we get surprised about how powerful we are inside, but we just ignore it. This is the main reason that we don't see the possibilities, because we are just getting trapped with a lot of, annoying conditions, which is right. 100%, they are right. They are happening. They are in outer reality. But if we don't have any control on those realities, we need to get back to the inner side within and find, okay, I cannot change anything outside. What can I change inside? What can I do here? Because I know that I am a very powerful strength inside. So how can I see my power inside? How can I connect to my power inside? So certainly a lot of us need a bit of help, just to start this connection with our inside. And definitely we need to have a lot of, ongoing practices. So that's why I think, within this time, we humans need to be really proactive to connect to each other. And as a result of connecting to each other, we can learn how to connect, to just get some help and connect to people who already experience, who've gone through these things. I've gone through a lot of, darkness in my life too. Still, I think this situation is very different. It's very different. It's just something really unique. I'm not saying difference in terms of the hardship. It's just different. The nature of the situation is very different. It's very unique. But I still find, as someone who personally I experienced a lot of things, and professionally I've been involved with a lot of, health problems. I personally find a message in this situation, and I just trying. So that's why I just said redefining the situation. I try to see something, I don't know, this word, this situation, this universe, whatever, is trying to tell me something. What's the message? I'm trying to find that message and just connect that message, just bring it, into my heart, and then find, what can I do? What can I do in this situation to have a better control, to be in charge of my life? And you will get surprised when you just go through this journey and you find a lot of things. I actually lost, I had a permanent good job and I lost it. And I'm now focusing on my other job, my other part-time job, and my business. And I just said, okay, maybe there was a message for me to focus more on this part of my job and my business and helping people in this stage. So that's a positive message that I can get. So yes, I think, in every situation, we need to find a message and be kind to ourselves, and certainly be connected to people. So people are different, in terms of the personality. A lot of people, they are more, extrovert, and they miss a lot of things now in this situation. And certainly those missing stuff can affect their whole emotional health. So perhaps, introvert people can just, be in touch more with extrovert, even, through this, virtual environment. And I really encourage people to assist some help from people who have gone through these journeys, similar journeys, and they find some different ways to manage this situation. I would certainly, I really want to ask people just to be friend with your emotions. Be friend with your emotions in this situation and express them out loud. Just dare to express it. Dare to express it. Don't suppress it. That's the thing that we definitely need to be really mindful about.
Wow. Dare to express it. That's given me goosebumps. I'm getting emotional just listening to you, my dear Dr. Nasrin, because dare to express it, not to suppress it, because it has been. I think you are so, because you think, okay, what's happened at the moment? And I look at, like you said, we all have a story now. We all have our own COVID or pandemic story. We remember key dates of when announcements were made, where we were at, and seeing our world spiral out of control. And we talk a lot, particularly for our tourism friends that were impacted by bushfires before. Now, that's a physical, dangerous situation that, fires went through communities and wreaked havoc. Now, this is silent. This has come through us in a silent, but almost in a similar fashion, the devastation that it's caused. But what that emotional impact, and so much of what you said in looking for the message, being friends with the emotion, dare to express it, not suppress it. When there have been dark days, and looking for, in my own experience too, there were just days, days of complete emotional distress, where all I could do was lie in a dark room in the fetal position, that what is happening, and being very emotional, and then having to just get on with it, having just to show up and keep getting on with the responsibilities. Now, I loved what you said when we caught up recently, because there is this kind of, it's a common phrase and something that I say so myself. Everything happens for a reason. And attracting this, and recently with a very good friend, something really negative happened, and this kind of like only good things happen to good people. So if something bad is happening to me, am I a bad person? Can you talk to that? Because you shared with me, I don't believe that things happened for a reason. Just talk a little bit more to that. Is that what you meant by that is more look for the message in what's happening rather than thinking that this has happened for a reason because of something that you've done or caused it to happen to you. Would that be correct in reframing that?
Yeah, so I think, you just, referencing to something which is sometimes called karma, or I'm not going actually to what I mean basically, to be honest, no, I don't believe that, if I just get something bad, I did something bad. That's a response, because I think, the connection, the collective connections is beyond these things. I believe energy, and that's another thing, because, and this is just scientific, we all know about quantum physics and energy, and we know that our body doesn't actually end up by our skin, and there is a field around us. So that's something that we possibly can relate to. So the energy is basically when we focus on the energy of fear, or everything that is kind of negative emotions. I don't want to tag them. I really don't like to tag or just categorize the emotions, but whatever can just make us really, kind of down. They are depleting. When we get stuck in those emotions, so because we are not aligned with the energy of the higher emotions, for example, if I love freedom, if I love love, if I love to be loved, or whatever, they are good emotions. They are really high, frequency emotions. However, in my inside, I'm connected with fear, with my all, guilt emotions, shame emotions, and I'm just attached to those emotions and constantly overthinking of those emotions. Or maybe I'm not consciously overthinking of those emotions, but in my subconscious layers, I actually put those emotions as default. So they can manage my behaviors unconsciously. When there is a conflict between my inner emotions and what I want from my life, so we don't get those things, because we need to just bring our emotions to the higher level to be aligned with what I want. If I want freedom, I need to feel free in my inside. I just need to free myself from all my past fears first. That's the main thing I should do. As long as I'm attached to those really past stories or wounds or pains and fear, I cannot just go further up and then connect to, for example, freedom or love. So this is something that, so I possibly believe this one, instead of those kind of karma, it's more about balance of energy between your inside and what you want. So you need to, raise your energy to the level which is aligned with what you really desire. And that is a very deep work. You need to connect to your emotions first, that I'll possibly talk about a little bit later on. In terms of redefining the situation, yes, we need just to find the message that can give us a new creation, because we humans all the time have the possibility to create the newness, the new situation. When the situation is different and we stay in the old position, nothing can happen. Nothing can happen. If I stay in the position that, I don't know, I stood 6 months ago, and the situation here is very much different than 6 months ago, and I'm just, holding in that position, in that situation, and I don't want to lose it, this is just, I cannot move on. I cannot. So that's why I need to change my position from that spot to the new position. And okay, so what can I see? I need just to change my, my vision, my angle, my position, my mind, everything, and just create something new in this new world, in this new situation. This is something that I mean about redefining. And it actually happened to me quite a few times in my personal experiences, because I was involved, with war. I saw, revolution. I had, migration. I lost everything 20 years ago when I migrated to Australia. And I just said, okay, so this is a new life. I can consider it as rebirth. So I lost my dad 8 years ago, and that was another, really transformational journey for me. So it's continuing. I had a lot of cocoon break. I call it cocoon breaking, because I think, you just break cocoon and just say, okay, I'm going actually to be different now. And the exciting news is, every single time you break the cocoon, every single time you leave the old position, you actually enter and you step into the more beautiful situation. Just imagine transformation and butterfly. And we usually can't see this right when we are inside of the circle. But when we actually, broaden the circle and we go to the next new circle, and we start to look, toward, whatever happened in the past, you said, this life actually is much more beautiful. And I know actually a lot of things now. I see a lot of things. I enjoy a lot of things now that wasn't actually previously part of my life. So this is actually my vision about this pandemic too, because I believe that, okay, so I personally lost a lot of things, and a lot of people lost a lot of things. Yes, we all actually I've gone through that process, but some people are still going through the process of grief. It's absolutely grief. Grief is not just about the loss of, the loved ones. Grief is about any kind of loss. We are in grief. And we actually, going through the different stages of grief, from denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and eventually acceptance. That's what it is. But that's what it is doesn't mean that I should just sit here and do nothing and just be a victim. No. That what it is just the very start point of what I need to do. So I need just to create something new. So that's why I called myself in my Facebook page Spiritual Warrior, because I think spirituality is not about just sitting and praying and just asking. That I think to be honest, nothing happens if you need to be proactive. You need just to raise your own energy and align your energy with what you want, and then act. So yeah, this is something, and we cannot do it unless we connect first with what it is now, what it is, just awareness first. Be aware about what is happening outside and inside. Connect to your own emotions, connect to your own mind, and see what possibilities you can see in yourself to change this situation.
This is when you relating it to the stages of grief is perfect analogy, because certainly that is what it has been expressed a lot, that particularly even with colleagues from many different, from business owners to professionals to a lot of people I've been speaking to, they'll tell me, I'm going through the stages of grief. I'm currently in denial that this is even happening. And I felt the same. Even starting into a new project, I felt like, has this been too soon? I'm still so raw from what's just, it was almost like post what do they call, like post-traumatic
shock
disorder.
Yeah. And I wanted to say something that's been on now. Sorry for interruption.
That's okay.
About the grief process. Grief process doesn't necessarily move linear. Sometimes actually we may go to the different stages and jump just back to the previous one. So
that's so true. That's so true, because I'll say, I'm back to anger. Then I'll get, I'm back to being really angry at why this is happening. And then you get angry with the politicians and it's like, it's come back. I thought I was done with that phase. But I love what you're saying about energy, and that's something that certainly I haven't really spent. We talk a lot about values in business, personal values and business values, and I really like this work. How would you differentiate the two? Do you think the two go hand in hand when we talk about value alignment to your work and yourself with how you operate in the world?
Yes, I think they are absolutely, hand in hand. Yeah, so the values, basically, they're rooted in your heart. So we think that it's coming from mind, but to be honest, it's rooted from your heart, because values is coming from what you love, what you are passionate about, what you really desire, and it's good actually to say that sometimes we are kind of programmed to follow the values are given to us by the society, by the family, but they are not our own values. That's a tricky one, because a lot of times we just follow something because we are kind of programmed, since childhood. And so especially in the very 6-8 years, children can be easily, programmed, and a lot of things just can go to the deeper subconscious levels, and they can actually work on those things possibly if they want to, or not. They can just leave it there, and society, culture, further, family communication, they can also affect those programming. But our own values are really true, genuine values. They are rooted in our heart. Mm-hmm. And certainly, if they are rooted in our heart, they are connected to the energy field. They are connected to the collective or, consciousness energy. That is a very important point. You mentioned really, this is actually deep down the rabbit hole. I possibly we don't have time to go that much deep. But I'm just in a very, very in a sentence, I'm just saying that those values, we just need to revisit our values, to be honest. We need to revisit deeply our values to make sure and to see if our heart value, if they are absolutely heart values, really desired values, really what I want. I really want. When I go back to my heart, I feel that my heart is thrilling for those values. I really want them. Revisit if the values are coming from your heart space, number one. Number two, if they are not really coming from heart, or, if they are not, they are not aligned with the higher energy that we want. So then we need to work on it. Then we need just to open and unfold the layers and see, okay, I really don't like this, but I love this. I really don't like this, and then find the pure values. Does it make sense?
It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense.
Thank you. Yeah.
And that's something with I wanted to go back to, you said something, it was a strong word and I didn't quite catch it. Like the word before breaking, something breaking.
Cocoon.
Can you spell that?
COCOON. Cocoon.
Cocoon breaking, like the butterfly.
Yeah. Cocoon,
I thought it was a scientific word.
No.
And I'm like,
cocoon,
what is that? No, cocoon breaking, like you break out of the cocoon, you're ready to fly.
Yeah, you go break your cocoon and enter a new beautiful situation.
Cocoon.
Yeah.
Break your cocoon. Look, I resonate And I'm reading the quote that you sent me on top of your bio, Dr. Nasrin. You will see the true light. You will see your true light when you dare to pass through the dark tunnel. Now, dealing with depression and dark times, now I can tell you significant moments in my life where I experienced, and I never got clinically diagnosed with depression, but I knew it was a dark time. I also remember the moments where I saw the light and I saw, okay, that's in the past. I'm moving forward now. For people that are dealing with this, and I guess with that aligned with when your self-worth, yourself, I guess the connection of what you do is aligned to what you think your self-worth is, and that's taken away. I know a dark moment when I started my business and now I was on my own. It was a long grieving phase of the life that I had of a title, of income, and suddenly I'm here and I'm by myself to make something happen, and I'm feeling really, really sad about like, have I done the right thing? I've left that person behind. So now I hope this might help others if they're feeling the darkness at the moment and sadness and feeling that sense of depression. How can we help ourselves and help others that we might be seeing that are going through that, where the business is gone or the title or that leadership, that leading position is gone? Is that something that some practical ways outside of everything that you've just shared of realigning your energy and your value system and taking control and empowerment, when we're talking about depression specifically and helping others and ourselves, what are some key ways that we can focus on the energy that we need to kind of raise? How can we do that ourselves when we don't have access to Dr. Nasrin?
Let's just start with that absolutely very that sentence, dark tunnel. So what should we do when, for example, just we enter to the absolutely tunnel? We have to move on. Yeah. Can we just, just pull over the car in the tunnel and just stop and wish the light? Is that possible? So if I go through the tunnel and just pull over, nothing can happen. And I may just, I don't know, if I stay for a long time, I may just face real, serious, dangerous health issues if I just stop there and just stay inside of the tunnel for days and hours. So we just move on. We move on because we know that whatever it is, I don't know, the length of this tunnel or whatever, we pass the tunnel, and after the tunnel is a light road. So this is exactly what is happening in our life. So that's a journey. That's a journey. It's just moving. It doesn't stay in one spot, but we are responsible. We have choice to get stuck there or move on. And this choice is a tricky part, because when we are just, I don't know, it's too much, and we kind of, have a lack of or very limited connections with our emotions or your just inner truth, we may lose, the possibility of have a choice. That's a tricky part, because as long as we know that we have a choice, we can choose to move on. So this is a time that we need help. This is a time that we need to be friends with ourselves. How? The very first thing that I can suggest in, please stop judging yourself. Stop self-talk and judging yourself. Okay, we are all beautiful people in whatever phase, whatever shape, whatever situation. You are enough. I'm enough in any situation. If I'm struggling with the hardest things now, if I look at the mirror and I just see myself, okay, I'm not as beautiful as I just, used to be. If I just, look at my job, my communication, whatever, just be friend with all of these things with no judgment. What do I mean by that? Just be like a parent, like a mom, like a mother, and start practicing these things. Look at yourself, your pains, your whatever is, wounded emotions, like your baby. So I hope that some of parents, moms and dads listening to me right now, what you would do if your kid is doing something wrong. Do you kick them out of house, or do you just leave them? You basically, the best thing that moms and dads can do in these situations are just hugging them, reassuring them they are safe. You are safe. I know that was the wrong thing, but I'm here for you to help you. I'm here for you to teach you, and you can learn something from that experience. Let's just do the same thing with our inner child, with our, painful emotions. They are our babies. This is something that I think we should start right now. Change your self-talk from criticizing, judging, or just, blaming. Blaming can include blaming yourself or blaming others or blaming the outer words. Instead of doing those things that they don't serve us in this situation, just shift your self-talk to, I know that you are experiencing pain now. I know you're feeling. I know that you are in fear. I know that you are broken. I know that, and I love you. I'm friend with you. I'm here. I'm here to keep you safe. This is something, our parent self can talk to our child self. And in this way, we actually create a safe environment within. Before creating that safe environment, we cannot. One thing, a lot of people just talking about positive thinking, positive words, those things are amazing, absolutely amazing. But they don't work if we are really in a depressed mood. They don't work. I may just feel, okay, I'm sick of these words. Stop it. Don't tell me these things because those words are not relating at this stage with my heart, with my emotions. You know why? Because I suppress my emotions and I just keep suppressing. And one thing is, Despina, when we are, I was going actually to say something about this term, are you okay? A lot of times when we ask, even when we ask ourselves, are you okay? We may say, yes, I am okay. Yes, I'm fantastic. I'm brilliant. But deep down, it's something else. You know why? Because we talk with only our head brain, and in our head we are really analytical, we are really judgmental, we want to just be a good perfect person. Even with my, even from our own eyes, we want to be the perfect person. But if we want to really understand what is happening inside, we need to connect with our emotions. So start your self-talk with your emotions, not with your head. And that's why, to be honest, I think perhaps this "are you okay" is not 100% the best sentence. Maybe we should ask, how do you feel? How are you feeling? Tell me about your feeling. A little bit, open. I think I have heard, I think that was a speech, or I don't know, article, but that is something a doctor experienced, a psychiatric doctor experienced in his practice. And he shared that a young, beautiful girl approached him, and he had actually just, a bit of history of clinical depression. And he approached him just for the normal visit. And the doctor asked her, are you now depressed? Because this is actually one of the criteria in the DSM-5. If people just say they are depressed, or they lost their interest, in life or whatever. And the girl said, no, I'm not. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm not depressed. And guess what? 1 week after, the girl committed suicide, but fortunately she survived. And that doctor actually shared that experience and said, okay, and 1 week after, when I just realized that she survives from this suicide, attempt, I asked her, what's the problem? I visited you a week ago, and you said you're not depressed. So what happened within this week? And how come you said that you're not depressed and you just committed suicide? And the girl said, you asked me wrong question. You asked me wrong question. Even if you asked me, do you feel helpless? I said, no, I don't feel helpless. Do you feel? No, I feel happier, because that is something that is what our brain, dictate, because it's programmed in a way that we should be perfect. We should be, accepted, validated by other people, and even by our own brain intelligence. So that's why we don't want to admit it. But connect to your emotions. Just visit your emotions every morning and every night. I visit my emotions twice, at least. I actually constantly visit my emotions, but at least twice a day. When I wake up in the morning, I ask my heart, how do you feel? I talk to my heart. And when I go to bed again, I ask my heart. So a lot of, practices can help you just to connect to your, heart-focused breathing, heart-focused meditation. These are the tools that can help you to get more connected to your heart space, to your emotions, and write them down. If you feel, tell them loud, say them loud. Okay, I feel angry now. I feel sad now. Say it to yourself, because you need to acknowledge your emotions. If you feel, more comfortable just to write them down on a piece of paper, just do it. And then when you acknowledge, go back to your heart space and just do a little bit of heart focused breathing when you balance your breath with your heartbeat. Sense your heartbeat and sense your body, sense everything is happening in your body. Okay, when my heartbeat is like that, I have a sensation in the other part of my body. I have connect to your body. When you scan these sensations, acknowledge your emotions, this is the very first point that you can change it. That's the time that you can change your self-talk. Okay, I know that I am sad. I feel it. My baby, but I want to give you hope. I want to give you the message of patience. I want to give you a message of newness. And then start to give those, little baby, the good messages. The good messages just to, help the baby wake up. And
wake up and break the cocoon.
Break the cocoon.
Break the cocoon. That is reframing that question from "Are you okay?" That's my. I've written notes full. I feel like I've just had the most exquisite emotional transformation just in this hour, and I hope our listeners have too. I think a golden nugget of reframing, are you okay? That's a yes or no answer question. Are you okay? Yes or no. 2, how are you feeling? To evoke a conversation.
And the other thing is just, don't answer with your logic and with your head brain. Just visit your emotion first. So the question must be in a way that can help help that person visit their emotions rather than visiting the logic. Because in our logic, we actually want to be accepted, validated by
I really want to thank you. And before we wrap up, I want to flick the switch now, because as a health and emotional wellness practitioner, and all that you do, you have had your own recent transformation in reframing and renaming your business. And thank you to Donna Russell, who's joining us. She's saying thank you to you, Dr. Nasrin. Some great insights. I found the same. Very grateful to be sharing this experience. I feel like I'm having a really great experience here. And you've really calmed me. I'm normally really I just feel this calmness. I feel this peace. Aww. I do. I feel it's almost meditative, just listening and taking all of this in. You've also made this transition in business and redefining yourself, remarketing yourself. And I think I'm going to use even your methodology in research. This is something my students are going to really appreciate, that's an academic, or even when marketing ourselves, we need to look at qualitative and quantitative research in data for our marketing practices. So talking about you launching your business now, and in this last 12 months, when you started that process, what was something that was holding you back? Because a lot of people I'm talking to now are doing the same thing, reinventing ourselves in tourism, because there's no international market. There's not even interstate market. So I have to rethink. What was something that was holding you back for anyone that might be thinking of starting something new or re-emerging something that they were doing into something new?
Yeah. Oh, you just got it, Despina. Very right questions. So my first and biggest weakness is procrastination. And I think that was and it's still, I'm working on it. We are still, work in progress. And I think that is kind of related to the fear of failure. Because you constantly say, okay, if I fail here, if I fail that, if people didn't accept me, if people couldn't hear me, if people couldn't validate me, if all of those ifs, they actually can aggravate your fear inside, and then the result could be you procrastinate, you just delay everything, you're not doing, you don't feel really right, just sit and do. And the way that I'm just working on, and the way I choose to overcome this fear, is because I think I actually changed my perspective about fear. Instead of just saying fear is bad, I shouldn't fear, I shouldn't, I started to, as I mentioned before, I started to embrace it as part of me. And okay, that's fear, and I have a fear of failure, fair enough, and that's normal. That's normal, because I wasn't actually an experienced, businesswoman. I basically, my most life was, I was in academia, which is very different than a business platform. And I accepted this emotion, and I'm trying, and I'm not saying trying, I'm doing, because trying that doesn't actually mean an action. I'm doing gradually, step by step, to empower love, empower the state of love. What I love about this, what I can enjoy more about my business rather than what I can fear more. So that's why, to be honest, I started my baby podcast. So it's not the best now, because I had a lot of fear when I started it. And I'm just, I'm still, working on it. But I talked to myself and I just said, okay, Nas, enjoy the process. Just enjoy it. Just give yourself love and joy. Whatever you do, don't expect just to get validation from people. Don't expect just love the joy of this moment about what you do. So this is something that I think it's really powerful, because as I mentioned before, if our energy is not aligned with the energy of what we want, we can't get it. So abundance happens if we align with the energy of abundance. And fear is not aligned with the energy of abundance. Love is aligned with the energy of abundance. So just love whatever you do. I know that is difficult, but if I just feel, okay, my business is broken, I don't have any money, yeah, that's reality. That's reality. That's worrying. Certainly that's reality. This is a concern. This is, but accept all of these things. Accept them. Don't get stuck in those things. Accept them and move on with what you love. In this way, you change your energy and your frequency, and you focus more on the loving part of this failure. It's a little bit hard, because people may say, oh, failure is not loving at all. But I can say, yes, failure is even loving, because when we experience failure, we do something new. We do something different. And that's a loving part. That's a loving part, because, okay, I felt this, then let's just definitely we need to start with mind, to have an intention. Let's just set my intention to do something new. And when you do that something new from your intention, you love it. You give it love, and then by ongoing practice, you raise your energy to the higher level. And so this is what I'm doing now at the moment. And to be honest, my biggest block was just fear of failure.
Oh, look, and I've never, again, a reframe. I've never quite have had that feeling of failure when doing something new, framed, envisaged in a new way like that. Move on with what you love and focus on the loving part of this failure. So focus on what you are enjoying, what you are learning through this experience, and you lift yourself up to what eliminates procrastination is that movement to be doing something. And I love that you are so fully aware that you picked yourself up even saying like that, I'm trying. No, I'm not trying. I'm doing what I'm doing. So it's the doing part.
Yeah.
So
and I
good.
wanted actually just to say one sentence too. Sorry, I'm just a teacher. I'm talking too much.
No.
So I was going actually to say this sentence that we actually repeat all the time in our NLP: be the cause rather than effect. Be the cause rather than effect. So I am affected by this situation, 100%, yes, but I don't want to stay in the effect position. I want to be a cause to create something else. So that's another thing that I think it's powerful too.
It's so powerful, and something. My whole Institute of Excellence exists because of the training. That was the aha moment of NLP, and the teacher at the time said this is a study of human excellence, and that was the big and that cause and effect. I'm so glad you brought that up, and that it, again, down this rabbit hole, because it's really taking responsibility that I'm responsible for everything that is happening. So again, going back to what you're saying, empowering yourself to have that control over the emotions of what's happening internally, then we can be empowered to do something about it. So good. The best advice that you've ever received, Nas? What's the best advice that you've ever received? I'm sure there's lots, but what's something that comes, that comes to you straight away in terms of being the best that you go back to?
Perhaps I just got an advice from someone. I think that was a couple of years ago. Someone just told me a sentence that was really good. And if I remember right, it was, use right words and right emotion when you battle tough situations. Right language, right words, and right emotions. And that person at the time told me this is actually the secret of managing the really tough and difficult situations. Your words are really powerful and can affect even your energy and radiate energy around and other people, and your emotions. So that language, I think, is very important. So I think to be able to choose right words, it's good just to give ourselves a bit of a space, just for a moment. Sometimes that's why, actually, sometimes, to be honest, especially since that time that I got that advice, I'm practicing to not respond to the situation which is a little bit triggering straight away. And I give myself a bit of a space and just, digest the words and my emotions, just to bring it to something that can be aligned. And my mind and my heart, words and emotions, shouldn't be in conflict. That's another thing that I definitely need to just check and double check before I express it to others, to the outer environment, when I want to handle a situation. Because if there is a conflict, believe me, the heart is winner. So if you have negative emotions in your heart, doesn't matter how many times you say this, I should do that, but the winner is here. So just make sure that you address this conflict first. Right words, right emotions, and then express whatever you want to do to manage the tough situation.
Love that. Recalibrate. Give yourself the time to recalibrate the words and the emotion to something that's going to serve you and the person or the situation that you're in conflict with. So good. You've said some personal habits that have contributed to your success. I've really loved and noted this practice of waking up and asking yourself, how am I feeling right now? Ending the day with, how am I feeling right now? Are there any other personal habits or resources that help you in your daily existence keep propelling yourself forward that you can share? Is there anything else that is like something that you can't live without on the daily?
I do journaling, I do self-reflection, but I'm just, I'm not getting stuck into, because I believe that we shouldn't live in the past, but definitely we should learn. So I believe learning is a constant process. So to help me learn, which is basically focusing on my, cognition and mind, I need to do self-reflection. So this is my usual practice. So if I can't do it every day, at least I'll do it, weekly, sometime in weekend. And I just get back to what happened during the week or during the day and how I manage those things. What are the gaps? What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? The other thing is self-awareness. There is a difference between self-awareness and self-reflection. Self-reflection is basically working with your mind and cognition and just reminding. Self-awareness working with the whole body. So that's why, I do practice just to have some dialogue, conversation with my body. And that is actually guiding me to what to eat, what to, just how to change how do I need to change my lifestyle? Because I know that, okay, my gut is talking to me right now because I ate this sugar or that, or I'm not. So this sensation of your body is very important for your self-awareness and also connecting to your heart. So self-awareness practices and self-reflection, they are both my usual, practices helping me go through this journey. And resources, you mean internet resources, Despina?
Yeah, anything that you go to that helps you stay productive and doing that next thing, particularly for your business, that keeps you on check. Is there anything that...
I don't know. I don't know. I actually use a lot of platforms or just something just to have. What is that platform which is for goal setting? I forgot the name.
Oh, goal setting platform.
Yeah, goal setting and just keep you in the right track. I forgot the name anyway. When I remember, I'll tell you. And I also just I'm very interested to some, I don't know, more spiritual or just a little bit. So that's why I usually listen to Gaia. So I'm not sure if you know Gaia. So
no. Gaia.
Gaia. Yeah.
Yep.
And this is basically for my own, my own spiritual, uplifting, because a lot of, beautiful and uplifting discussions are there, like rewiring your mind or what these things. And and also, I connect to, here you go. Yeah, that's Joe.
That's Glenn.
So,
he's my spiritual master.
And Joe Dispenza, I actually love his work. Absolutely love his work. He's doing amazing work on mind and heart coherence. And also Heart Math. I love Heart Math Institute. And this is something that, I use in my work. Yeah.
Incredible. And any books, do you have any favorite? You said you shared with me, and I'd love to share with others, your go-to book that you keep referencing to. Did you want to share that one with our audience?
Yes, The Man's Search for Meaning.
The Man's Search for Meaning. Yes,
that's actually the book from Viktor Frankl, and it's about concentration camp years ago. The first time I read this book, Despina, I was only 18. I think I was a very, baby, university student. And it actually got me, this book. And I just said, oh my God, this book has a lot of messages for me. And I read it. And when I read it now, it gives me different messages. Because I'm in a very different part of my journey, it gives me absolutely different. So this is amazing. This is amazing book for, meaning making and, how people survived in the worst situation only by redefining the life and, the newness. And so many amazing books.
What a great book.
And this one also, I have this one in my, my desk. So from Brené Brown, Dare to Lead. And Brené Brown is a leader of, she's talking a lot about vulnerability. And that's a vulnerability is a power. And I really believe that is right, because a lot of times we just suppress our emotions because we want to suppress our vulnerability. So as I mentioned before, dare to express your emotions out there. but don't get stuck in there. You need just to acknowledge it, express it, just be vulnerable, be yourself, be your true self, and then move on to just to raise them and just replace them with the more powerful ones.
So good. Now, to find out more about you, your business, for anyone that wants to personally reach out and work with you, and you also have we've got your Optimize Your Inner Wellness. You have a program that you've really launched, a wellness course, an 8-week course for anyone that is curious and wants more of Nasrin in their lives. You can have Dr. Nasrin, there's a podcast that we'll put all of this in the show notes at instituteofexcellence.com/podcast when it's released. But also you can see there when you have everything there in the show notes of Dr. Nasrin's course and information about how you can work more one-on-one together. There is Dr. Nas Inner Wellness on Instagram is somewhere you can follow her journey as well. And we'll put her details for her Facebook and her LinkedIn. So please connect. And this is someone that you want to get to know. And I'm so glad that we connected. This was a few months ago now. And I'm so happy we've reconnected for this program today and introduce you to some more people in the tourism space that could do with so much of what you've shared. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your intellectual insights on what is happening right now within us and how we are managing ourselves so we can cause more good and be more effective than ignite other things that are not serving us. Some key things that I want to share, some key takeaways that I took away: visiting our emotions daily and reframing "Are you okay?" to "How are you feeling?" to ourselves and to others. That we have choice and we are our own healers. We have choice here. And be in control of that we can control and we can take action to be our own healers. Dare to express, not suppress. That's a quotable that I will be using throughout. Dare to express, not suppress. I love that. Raise your energy to what you want and your values to what you love, and be really in congruency and alignment with that. And absolutely no judgment zone for yourself. Ourselves. Sometimes I catch myself out and I say, would you talk to anybody like that? I would never talk to someone, and I never have in my life, the way that I can self-talk to myself. And I only really recognize that in the last little while. I've just been beating myself up like an enemy, and I go, what are you doing, Despina?
So we are sometimes very harsh to ourselves. That's right. Yeah,
it's horrible. So moving on with what you love and focus on the loving part of any fear you are experiencing around failure. So if you are holding off anything at the moment to try something new, because if you're going to do anything new, now's the time to do it. If you need to change anything about your business, about yourself, and you are holding back to pursue the love for what it is that you were always meant to be doing, or the thing that you always wanted to do when you were growing up and now you're a grown up, embrace what you love about the thing that is stopping you doing it. So good. So good. Dr. Nasrin, thank you.
Beautiful wrap up. Thank you.
I'm a note taker, and you kept me. That was the most pages I filled in a podcast episode. Congratulations, because it was there was so many great things that you shared.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone that's joined us on this episode with Dr. Nasrin Parsian, and thank you to everybody that's tuned in and listened to us live and on the podcast. Join us again next week for another. We'll flick the switch to another very important topic around what is happening to our industry at a higher level and how we are going to get ourselves out of this. Until next time, my friends, be excellent today and every single day. And I hope we got a lot of good stuff there on how we can really live our own excellence in the best way that we can. Until next time, big love all. Thank you. Thanks again for joining us on the Tourism Hub podcast. If you found this podcast valuable, it will mean the world to give us a review on Apple iTunes. We're also live here every Saturday at 2 p.m. across all the Institute of Excellence Facebook and YouTube channels. And you are all invited. Be excellent, and don't forget we also have courses available at instituteofexcellence.com to help you and your small business greatness.